It took me years to learn this, but I'll teach it to you in under minutes. To become rich, you need multiple income streams. I have 7, which generate team over $1 per week. So today I thought I'd walk you through each income stream, explain how I got started, and rate them on a scale of 1 to 5. This video is gonna create future millionaires, because after watching it, you'll have all the information you need to build multiple income streams and escape the traditional 9-to-5 life. First is my retail stores, where I sell remote control planes, helicopters, cars, and more. Many young people believe the only way to start their own store is by launching an online one. Now, I can see why people might think this, because there are lower startup costs, a global customer base, and you have the flexibility to run the business from anywhere you like. But just because online stores are easier to start, it doesn't mean that physical stores are outdated or unachievable. I mean, just look at the amount of physical locations the sidemen are opening up, from fried chicken shops to clothing stores. But Mark, starting a retail store requires a lot of money. You're basically saying to become rich, you already have to be rich. Disliked and unsubscribed. I understand it might seem that way, but when I started my store, I had hardly any money. I'd recently resigned from my job and dropped out of school with no qualifications to fall back on. So I simply had to make it work. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it was easy for me, because it really wasn't. I remember on the opening day of my first model shop, I put a sleeping baby in the back of the van, because unless I made enough money on the day, I couldn't even afford to fill me car with fuel to get home. So how did I manage to start a shop with barely no money to my name? Well, I got funding, which is something you can do too. I know it sounds a bit complicated, but I took 3 simple steps. Step 1 is to write a business plan. I identified the perfect location for a shop, how I was gonna attract customers, how much money I needed, how I was gonna allocate that money, and finally how much money I thought I could make. Back in the day, this was about as far as I could go, without professional help, but now you can go one step further and find a free business plan template online to make your plan look as professional as possible. Step 2 is to do some customer research. You have to find a cheap way to test out if your business will actually work. So many people come up with a business plan and get so carried away with it that they don't actually ever consider going out and asking their potential customers what they think. This step is all about going out into the real world and gathering actual data. Trust me, doing this will save you so much money and potential headaches. You may even find you need to adapt your plan. I did this without even knowing it, as I worked in someone else's model shop on the weekend. This allowed me to talk to
customers and find issues within the business that I could fix in mine. You can also walk around with a clipboard asking people's opinions, like they probably foresee you to do on school trips. But if you can get a part-time job in a similar business, then it can prove to be the best customer research opportunity ever. Step 3 is to get funding. I got my initial money in the form of a bank loan. It was very hard to secure, but I eventually got it by knocking on enough bank managers' doors until someone believed in me. Nowadays, there are so many alternative funding options available as crowdfunding. If you have a solid business idea, you can use platforms like Kickstarter to raise money by pitching your concept directly to potential customers. Right, time to rank this income stream out of 5 stars in my 3 core categories. Firstly, how much time does managing a retail store take? I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 stars because I'm not gonna lie, it takes a lot of your time at the start. However, with that being said, as time goes by, you can afford to take a step back, especially when you start scaling it by hiring staff and implementing systems that can run while you are not there. Now I probably spend less than a couple of hours a week actually in this store. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'm gonna rate this 4 out of 5 stars because although the initial stage of, how do I get the money, is tricky to overcome, you don't have to do it all alone. There are so many investors, loans, and crowdfunding methods that can get you there, especially if they see the potential in your business. Thirdly, how easy is it to make per week? You know what? For this one, I'm gonna say 5 out of 5 stars. If you're really passionate about what you're selling and you know the ins and outs of the niche, then you'll sell. To be a top seller, you have to make the customer be into not just the products, but into you. Second is my own brand and product range, which I manufacture in China and distribute all over the world. When I was younger, the idea of seeing my own products in the shelves of other shops seemed just like a dream. I would sit in school staring at my drawing soft model airplane designs, thinking, how can I make this happen? I always thought you had to have millions of dollars, niche connections, or a huge team behind you to make it a reality. I was wrong. Little did I know years later I'd be sat clutching onto my designs I drew as a kid in a plane heading to China. So how did I go from a kid with a dream on a piece of paper to a successful brand owner? Well, I took 3 key steps that you can replicate to get started with your own brand. Step 1 is picking a niche. Back in my day, model airplanes were all the rage. If people weren't watching latest competitions or going crazy for new designs, they were busy collecting tickets and accessories to customize their own. It had what's known now as a cult following. You need to identify a popular niche with lasting appeal, not just a fleeting fad. I'd personally start by following Instagram pages and joining in on the conversations. You need to know what people in this niche are passionate about. Also try to understand their calendar used to your advantage. Step 2. Keep an eye on trends. Take a brand like Represent for example. It just got so popular out of nowhere and ended up on everyone's Christmas list. They recognized the growing trend for oversized clothing within the fashion industry and quickly capitalized on it with their oversized odis and tracksuit sets. This is where they really made a name for themselves. It's interesting because if you look at them now, they're moving more towards fitness gear with their range because they're following new and rising trends. Here in the UK, fitness has become so popular with people owning fitness products. Even the nightclubs are shutting because young people aren't drinking as much. It's clear that Representative spotted this trend and created a new clothing range to meet the demand. You should aim to do the same in your chosen niche. Step 3 is creating a culture. If you can build a real community around your products, that is the secret sauce. It's not just about selling stuff anymore. People feel like they want to be part of something bigger. This way your brand sticks around because customers are all in it just for what you're selling, but for the whole vibe. My son Curtis recently participated in the Super K Spartan race, which was filled with obstacles like monkey bars, rope climbs, and even swimming through icy water. It's become more than just a race. It's now become a movement where people go to test their limits and meet like-minded individuals. They've built a genuine community with around 1 million people participating last year. There's even been a wedding ceremony on the start line with a whole wedding party completing the course. So maybe have a think about how you can do this too in your own niche. Now on to the rankings. Firstly, how much time does creating your own brand take? I'd say a 2 out of 5 for this one because you're gonna have to put in the work. You'll have to post online consistently to build the audience, keep up to date with research, and also keep up to date with trends so you can ride with them instead of drowning in them. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'd give this one a 3 out of 5 cause you do need some initial capital. But once sales start rolling in, growth can happen quickly, and you can then reinvest that money to fuel further expansion. Thirdly, how easy is it to make per week? I'd rate this 4 out of 5 stars if you've completed steps 1 and 2, and 5 out of 5 if you've achieved all 3. Once you've built hype and people are talking about your brand on social media, there's no reason you can't easily make per week. Third is my eBay store where I buy stock from failing shops and sell.
Third is my eBay store where I buy stock from failing shops and sell it online. Not to toot my own horn, but I made quite a name for myself in the model industry and people started asking me to help them with their failing businesses. With all my experience and knowledge, I thought to myself, why not? Before I knew it, it became a side hustle. I remember the first time I visited a struggling store and offered them a lump sum in exchange for their stock. I then listed the items on eBay in my spare time and I was completely shocked by the results. I managed to triple my money. So I just kept going and bought lots more failing businesses. Before long, I ended up with this warehouse full of gear behind me. Now my team just lists these items on eBay for me. It's become a huge part of my business, and I never imagined my little side hustle could transform into something as big as this. I know what you're thinking. But Mark, I don't have enough Moneto just by failing businesses. How can I do this too? Well, here's my best advice for getting started with eBay. Step 1 is to identify business run by older people. The world has changed a lot and the traditional methods aren't as effective anymore. That's just how the world is. It just keeps on changing and you've got to change with it if you want to stay on top. Unfortunately, some older business owners are just left in the dust. This is where you come in. Step 2 is to approach these older owners and ask if you can try and offload stock they can't sell, then list and sell it on eBay in exchange for a commission. This way, they get rid of their dead stock and you can earn some extra cash. It's a win-win. Over time, you'll be able to build up profits, and this is where the game changes. Step 3 is to use your profits to start buying directly from your own supplier. This is a huge turning point because you're being in control of the products you offer, the pricing, and the customer experience. This gives you far more flexibility for profits and enables you to build up a strong reputation as a seller. This is crucial for scaling this side hustle into a real business. Okay, once again, it's Team Meadow. Rank it in my categories. Firstly, how much time does running an eBay shop take? Well, I'll say this is a 3 out of 5, if not a 4, because you don't need to come up with any of the products or designs, you're simply selling someone else's stock. If you've got things running smoothly, then there's no reason why you can't be selling in your sleep. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'm gonna rate this a 5 out of 5 because you can actually get started with, especially if you're selling stuff for a commission like I recommended. It's really accessible and a great way to get stuck into business and learn on the go. Thirdly, how easy is ITTO make per week? I'm gonna rate this a 5 out of 5 because all you have to do is sell items with a profit on each, and boom, you've made an extra that week. Fourth is the stock.
Fourth is the stock market where I invest my money and let it grow over time. I'm no financial advisor, but in my humble opinion, this is something everyone should be doing because without investing, your money's losing value due to inflation. Over the last years, this averages out to be loss of % per year. So if your money isn't growing by more than this on its own, then you're getting poorer by the second. In a perfect world, you'd have a savings account that provides an average return of 2% every year, so that you can both beat inflation and earn some profit. Unfortunately, such savings accounts don't exist. However, you can achieve returns like this by investing in the stock market. A stock is a small part of a company, and when you buy it, you'll become a shareholder. When you're a shareholder, there are 2 ways you can make money. The first way is if the price of the stock goes up. During the time you own it, then you can sell it for more than you paid. The second way is receiving dividends. Dividends are regular payments to shareholders. Now, not all stocks pay dividends, but if they do, this means you can receive money without ever selling your stock. You can start investing from your phone. My son has actually been investing pounds a day for over a year now on the trading app, instead of buying a morning Starbucks coffee. It's a bit of an experiment, and as you can see, that small investment is now worth pounds, which is a profit of pounds or dollar for all my American subscribers. That's a return of over %. Of course, past results are no guarantee of future returns, but that's not bad for a little experiment. To set something like this up, all you have to do is select pies and then click the plus button. Now you can select whatever stocks you want to include in your pie. For this demonstration, let's just pick the same investment as my son, this S&P index fund. Now let's tap add to pie and then the arrow button. Right, tap next and then auto invest. This value projection is really awesome, as it shows you how much money you could make based on the historical averages. Of course, when you invest, you can get back less than you invested, as investments can rise and fall, but it's still a great way to get an idea of how much you could make based on data-backed projections. I mean, say we invested pounds per month for years. This says that you'll heavily invested pounds, and your portfolio could be worth £1,000,000. And if we expand this 2 years, that could give you a portfolio worth of £1,000,000. That's over $1,000,000. Now, let's rank this income stream out of 5 stars in my 3 core categories. Firstly, how much time does investing take? I'd rate this 5 stars out of 5, as all you have to do is download an investment app, such as trading, deposit some money, and start investing. Since I was planning to talk about trading anyway, I reached out to them to see if they'd be interested in sponsoring this portion of the video. They agreed and are offering a free stock
to anyone that uses the code TILBREW when they sign up and fund their account with as little as pound or euro. Plus, you can get more free shares by inviting your friends. Both of you will get a free share as long as they fund their account. Also, don't worry if you've opened an account in the last days. You can still use the promo code TILBERRY in the app and receive your free share. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'd rate this a 5 stars out of 5 again, as I've shown with my son's experiment, who can start with as little as a price off a Starbucks coffee a day or even less. Because of the way compound interest works, it's much better to get started rather than later, so that time is on your side even if you can only put a city a little bit every month. Thirdly, how easy is it to make dollar per week? This will have to be out of 5 because it's very challenging to make this kind of money at the start. As you can see by this graph, net worth really starts to accelerate after the first K. For me, making dollar a week from investments is now the easiest thing in the world. So who knows, by the time you reach my age, you could be making far more than dollar a day through investing. Fifth is my residential real estate. I rent these out to families. When I was younger, I wanted to build an income source that would constantly bring in money even if I decided to stop working. So I did some research, and that's when I bought my first residential rental property. It's actually this Oni, and it's in an up-and-coming with great transport links to London and good local schools. But the truth is I regretted the investment as soon as I bought it. The reality was it needed a lot more fixing up than I'd initially thought, and I just tied up a big amount of my money. But I was committed now, and he needed to make it work, so I spent every free moment down at the house fixing everything myself to save cost. Now, looking back, this was hands down one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's over doubled in value, and along with my other property has given me a steady income for years. Look, I'm not gonna lie, getting into real estate usually takes a big chunk of change to start, but there is a good way to get started without actually buying any property yourself. It's called deal sourcing. This involves you sitting at a computer finding deals and then sending them on to real estate investors like me and receiving a commission. I'm always on the lookout for great deals, and so are thousands of other real estate investors. So here are the 3 simple steps you can take right now to start this. Step 1. Educate yourself. Learn about the local real estate market, property values, and investment strategies. Become obsessed. Watch videos and read plenty of books. Step 2. Build a network. Connect with real estate agents, property managers, and other investors. Attend local real estate meetups and join online firms to expand your connections. Step 3. Start finding deals. Look for undervalued.
Look for undervalued property or motivated sellers through online listings, auctions, or by driving around neighborhoods. When you find a good deal, present it to investors in your network for a finder's fee. Even if you don't plan to deal source forever, this experience will prove invaluable. When you eventually become a real estate investor yourself, you'll already possess all necessary knowledge. In my view, it's a win-win situation. You're learning and earning at the same time, so it's time to rank this income stream. Firstly, how much time does residential real estate take? This is a 3 out of 5, as it does take time to find good deals. And if you're the investor, you might need to put in some work to fix up the property at the beginning. Secondly, how much money do you need? If you're deal sourcing, then this is a 5 out of 5 stars, as you don't need any money to get started. However, if you're investing, then you'll need a significant amount of money to buy the property and also maintain it. Take it from me, being a landlord isn't always easy. I remember when I dealt with all my properties personally, I'd get called up for the craziest of things. Once I even found myself fixing a roof tile during a major storm. And thirdly, how easy is it to make dollar per week? This is a 5 out of 5, as it's relatively easy to make dollar a week. If you're deal sourcing, on say I've learned the ropes. Just one finder's fee can earn you thousands in commissions. For investors, you can generate income from both rental payments and property value appreciation. Sixth is my commercial real estate. I rent these warehoused to different businesses. This one is just a boot go on the market. This is something I explored later in life after I'd invested in the stock market and residential real estate, and I recommend you do the same. I was interested in boosting my cash flow, and you can typically earn more per month renting to businesses rather than families. However, my warehouses aren't likely to increase in value at the same rate as my residential properties. I'm gonna keep this one short and skip to the ratings. First, how much time does commercial real estate take? I'll give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, it can be relatively hands-off once you've got the tenants in place. However, setting it up does take time, from finding good warehouse space to making sure it's ready to lease out. Once you're up and running, it only really requires you to manage the tenant relationship. Secondly, how much money do you need? This is a 1 out of 5 stars. As commercial real estate isn't cheap and upfront costs can be high. However, financing options and partnerships are often available for this kind of investment if you're not ready to put in all the money yourself. And thirdly, how easy is it to make dollar per week? This is a 4 out of 5 stars, as the potential is definitely there, with most commercial leases bringing in well above dollar per week. Once leased, this type of real estate can pay.
Once leased, this type of real estate can provide a strong cash flow, but it may take a while to reach this point since it's a longer-term investment. Seventh is my personal brand, where I make videos like this one to help the next generation grow their wealth. As a kid, I always used to see famous people on film in the movies. It was great entertainment, but let's be honest, becoming an actor yourself seemed like an impossible dream. You'd never think, I'll watch this movie, get inspired, and then become a star. The odds were just too slim. However, nowadays with social media, you don't need to become an actor or TV show host to become famous. You can do it all from your smartphone and get rich at the same time. Having a large following on social media has so many benefits, like giving you a sense of purpose and authority, making you famous and generating income, while having the freedom to travel whenever you want without a boss breathing down your neck. I'll be completely honest, when I became a content creator and posted my first video, I never actually thought about any of that stuff. I just wanted to work with my son, share my stories with the world, and hopefully help some people along the way. It's more about legacy form than fame and money. Although it's really cool when I get to meet some of you guys in person. But let's not beat around the bush here. Posting these videos does in fact generate me income through it revenue and sponsors, which I invest in team members and equipment to produce better videos for you guys. I was actually scrolling through my YouTube channel the other night reflecting on a few of my old videos. It was such a nice moment for me and my son seeing how much everything had improved. But anyway, enough about me. Let's discuss how you can start posting on social media, grow a following and start producing an income. Step 1 is research. I know it sounds cliche, but if you want to grow on social media, you need to have a clear lane and message. For example, my lane is personal finance and side hustles, and my message is helping next generation grow their wealth. If I just posted whatever I wanted, let's say one day I was discussing my passion for RC models, the next day it was cars followed by golf and then maybe investing, you probably wouldn't subscribe, would you? And the reason for that is you don't actually have any idea what you're subscribing to. So think about what you're interested in and experienced at. Research other popular YouTubers in that space, and hatch a plan to put your own spin on things. Step 2 is create. Remember a moment ago when I mentioned that how much my videos have improved over the last few years? Well, that's exactly what you need to create. I see so many people trying to be perfectionist and learn everything there is to know about creating videos before already posting going for themselves. So what are you waiting for? As long as you've done your research and have a clear goal for where you want to end up, start them.
As long as you've done your research and have a clear goal for where you want to end up, start making content and improve as you go. Step 3 is monetize. It's all well and good being a content creator, but if you're not able to make any money from it, then it's extremely unlikely you'll be able to continue doing it. This is because, believe it or not, creating content is a job and takes more time than you'd probably think. And if you're not producing an income from your efforts, that's all time that could be spent working a job or building a different business. My advice for monetizing your social media career will be not to worry about the money at first and instead focus on creating great videos that people love. Doing this will build a strong foundation of returning viewers, which is crucial for monetizing in the future. Once you've built that audience, there's 3 main ways you can start making money. The first way is ad revenue, where YouTube will pay you for those adverts that play before, during, and after your videos. The second way is brand deals, where you negotiate with a brand and get them to agree to pay either a flat fee, a commission, or both. And the third way is by creating your own digital product like a course or community. Now let's rank personal brand. Firstly, how much time does building a personal brand take? I'll give building a personal brand 2 out of 5 stars when it comes to time investment, because when you're just starting out, things naturally take longer while you learn. Even when you're an expert, creating content takes time. But I'm not gonna give it just a 1 star, as at least you can create when you want and not when you're told to by a boss. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'm gonna give this 3 out of 5 stars, as it really does depend. You could work on quite a tight budget and create videos with your iPhone and simple editing software. Or you can go all out and get the best camera, hire the best editors, and so on. Thirdly, how easy is it to make $1 per week? I'm gonna rate this 4 out of 5 stars, as posting videos online is almost like building digital real estate. At first, there are some requirements you need to meet to gain access to monetization, like having over subscribers and hours of watch time. But once you've gained access to this and have multiple videos on your channel, making $1 a week is very realistic. If you want to know what to do with your money every time you get paid, then I'm gonna leave that video right up there. But don't click on it just yet. Make sure to subscribe if you want to grow your wealth. Okay, I'll see you over there.